Yes, I had a motion to approve both minutes. I'm sorry.
Well,
Let's just-
withdraw that.
Let's do,
Oh, I'm going to withdraw that motion then.
okay, just the August ones.
The August one.
Thank you. Can I have
I'm
a
trying to get this
second?
letter that somebody wrote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, going to September. What's the concern?
I think I had sent an email about it a while ago that
I didn't get that.
it needed to be clear that the administrative review came first and then the variance.
My recollection was,
Because the variance wouldn't be applicable unless the administrative review had been acted on.
Why don't we
this
withdraw
is the
the
portable
September
storage.
minutes unless we're
This is a different address. This is not that one. This is
Maybe we should just make sure they're right.
is this on the dumpster matter, or is this on,
20
I think that was the 5 Ricker
Yes.
one.
I
Five
can't
record
hear her.
parking.
What is
Can
she?
you speak up?
Me or him?
Both of you.
Oh,
It was about 5 Ricker Ave, the existing parking in the buffer, the green buffer. They appealed my administrative decision, and then
They withdrew it.
there was discussion back and forth, and they said, well, you're going for a variance right after this if you lose the appeal, and they said, yeah. And they said, well, why don't we just go to do the variance? And so you granted the variance, and
They withdrew the administrative appeal then.
but one was based on the other, so
What do you think has to change in the minutes?
just clearing up that the administrative review should have happened first, like been voted on first.
I think we're gonna have to table this so I can look at it. so that-
Plus, can you speak louder, but move your mic, because we can barely hear you, I'm sorry. Or something.
Okay.
Thank you. There we go.
Maybe there's more, like,
Okay.
HVAC on this week.
All right. Report from town council liaison,
Oh, he's not here.
is not here. Regional impact determinations.
None this evening.
Okay, we need to make a motion on that to approve the, I'm not.
No, that's, all right. I'll make a motion to accept the regional impact determinations.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Couple of introductory remarks, if you could just turn off your cell phones. We are actually going to call the second case first this evening. What will happen is if you are presenting, if you'd come to these chairs here, the conversation will be between you and the board. We will put it out to the audience. Anyone who in favor or objecting will have an opportunity to come up and speak at this microphone here. We do ask that you recite your name and your address before you make any comments. And again, please be sure your comments are directed to the board, not directly to the applicant. And there'll be an opportunity for the applicant to rebut anything that might be said. All right, so with that, we can shift it around if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay.
Don't take the glory away, 'cause he's good at
We are
that.
just about to read the first case.
Okay. But there was a letter
Then
here.
we've done them opposite, so the second case is.
Yes.
Do we,
we're doing
Madam
the
Chair, do we need to appoint at least one more voting member or 2 voting members?
So if
There's
we're.
what,
we'll have
3 of us
Lisa-
now, 4.
Yep, we'll have Lisa vote on the first matter. Oh, I'm sorry, Christine. Thank you. Thank you.
So we're doing case number 2 first?
Yes.
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 We'll have John vote on the first one, which will be second. Got it? All right.
So case number 1015-2025-2, a request for a special exception from LZO section 515-1 to allow a portable storage structure in the AR1 zoning district. The parcel is located at 21 South Road in the AR1 zoning district, tax map 3, lot 22-0. Cynthia Peterson, Peterson 2018 trust owner and applicant.
So if you could just state your name and your address, please.
My name's Ira Cohen. The address is 21 South Road in Londonderry.
And you are here on behalf of the applicant, Cynthia Peterson.
Correct.
Okay. So, there was a letter that was presented, so we just, if you could give us some clarity on where the storage,
So if I may
continue.
bring this up to you,
Sure,
because it's the
thank
only
you.
one that I have.
Okay,
I didn't realize I was gonna have to do this. So this is South Road, right here. This is South Road,
Mhm.
this is the house.
Yep.
And it'll be behind the house off on the side. This is completely treed on the entire property. You almost can't even see it except for the driveway.
I noticed that today when I drove by.
So we're gonna take this and mark this as Exhibit 1. Pass that around.
Those are blank sheet, if you need that or not.
Thank you.
So the unit that we're looking at is 20 feet long, 8 feet wide, and I think it's 8 feet high. Or just under 8 feet high.
Does it show the location in it?
You said just under the second 8?
Yes,
Oh, I see.
And we're looking for this for what purpose?
storage, it'll be mostly like overflow household storage. Cindy and I got together, it was 2 families
Like here.
coming as one, and just, the house is a little house, so there will be no toxic, anything like flammable materials, what I mean, like gunpowder or gasoline or anything like this. It's just clothes and boxes of stuff that you accumulate over the years.
Okay, and the material on the container?
It's metal,
It's a shipping container?
yes.
Okay.
And it'll be put on blocks or?
Yeah,
Yep.
when I spoke to the Page Storage, that's what they recommend, is putting it on some kind of block.
That's one of the requirements for?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? This is a special exception, so it's sort of
So,
a,
I just have one question. This is not existing on our property now. You haven't
No.
put it there yet?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm trying to do everything by the right way.
There's a reason I asked that question, and the other members know, so, okay.
so if we're looking at the picture that's up on the screen now, the location of the storage would be generally, I know you said to the back,
Yes,
away
So-
from South Road?
correct.
Okay.
So is it right, like near, when I looked at what you drew, it looked like it was within those trees on the,
So I think that might be a little older photo for the, no, actually, no, there is a tree, so,
you can go up there and
this is it here, right, South Road, so this is South Road, here's the house, and it'll be, well, some of these, this is a little, must be a little old photo, some of these trees are gone right now, and, that's where it's gonna be, right in here someplace.
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Okay. If anyone would like to speak in favor of this application, feel free to come forward now. If anyone has any objections and would like to come forward and speak?
There is
In the
Yep.
letter, yeah.
Received October 15, 2025, 2 zoning board members regarding case number 1015-2025-2. As a direct abutter to the subject request to construct storage container on property located at 21 South Road, I have concerns as to location of storage container. My property located on 23 South Road abuts directly to side view, and I am concerned as to my view obstruction. My view would be obstructed if permitted to locate against property line. As of this time, I do not know where parcel will be located. And until I know exactly where, I oppose to this request. I am sorry that I cannot attend meeting due to previous commitment. I am totally against to look out my window and see a shed structure. I have put a lot of work onto my property and feel an eyesore of this nature would depreciate the value of my property. Please consider my request as to location. No one would want to look out their window and see a steel box, an eyesore in plain view. Respectfully, Mr. Peters. William Peter, and it looks like there's 2
Yeah, they
signatures
signed
there.
it down below.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Cohen, do you know which property that?
So that would
In
be
relation to-
on the other side of us. On the other side,
Can you show us?
yes, so that's right where your arrow was just at. So here's, again, South Road, the house, here's where the storage unit will approximately be, and that's the house that you're talking
Okay,
about.
thank
And
you.
he has a fence, a 6-foot fence right there, and then it's still all treed.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other
And
questions?
just an added little note, that between us, I had just planted these little trees called tulia something or other, and eventually they'll grow to around 20, 30 feet tall, so there'll be a wall of trees theoretically between this property and mine anyway, in a couple of years.
Do you know if it's within the appropriate setbacks?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
All right,
I have no questions.
do you need the,
So I do not have a sheet.
If this sheet here,
because you were gonna go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is the use detrimental to the health or safety of residents?
No.
So I apologize. I am speaking to the board,
Okay.
Yes.
but I appreciate your, thank you.
Let me, but I appreciate, let me officially close the public comment portion of
Okay.
the application. We're deliberating now.
Okay.
Is the use detrimental to the health or safety of residents?
I would say
Say
no.
no.
I would say no.
Will the use create undue traffic congestion or a traffic safety hazard in the vicinity of the proposed development?
I would say no.
you know,
Same.
Agreed. Will the use be incompatible with the surrounding neighborhood?
I would say no, based on location.
No. Will the use be a detriment to property values in the vicinity of the proposed development with consideration given to the location or scale of buildings, structures, parking areas, or other access ways?
I would say no.
as well.
I agree. Will a nuisance be created by such use by way of emission of odor, smoke, gas, dust, noise, glare, heat, vibration, or other pollutants, or the unsightly outdoor storage of equipment, vehicles, or other materials?
I would say no.
Agreed. Will the use create a hazard to the public or adjacent property on account of potential fire, explosion, or release of toxic materials?
I would say no.
Agreed.
Agree.
Will the use result in the degradation of existing surface and groundwater quality standards or had adverse effects on the natural functions of wetlands on the site, which would result in the loss of significant habitat or flood control protection?
Oh, I would say no.
I
would say as
agree.
well.
Will there be more than one portable storage structure per property?
No.
Will the portable storage structure be larger than 10 feet wide, 20 feet long, and 10 feet high?
No,
No.
No.
Will the portable storage structure be located to the side or rear of the principal structure on the property? I would say yes.
Yes.
Will the portable storage structure be set back a minimum of 15 feet from the side, any side or rear lot lines, and 40 feet from the front property line?
Yes.
Yes. Will the portable storage structure be set back a minimum of 5 feet from the nearest wall of a building? Yes.
Yes.
Will the portable storage structure be placed on a paved, concrete, or other appropriate impervious surface, or be placed on blocks?
Yes.
If applicable, will adequate and appropriate facilities be provided for the intended use? I don't think there were any.
Right.
So that's a yes. That's not applicable. If applicable, any necessary state and federal permits be obtained. So that's an A.
I can imagine, based on the description,
Yeah.
I would say it's yes.
And what is the length of time the portable storage structure will remain on the property? It says perpetual.
Yeah,
We usually do limit it,
yes,
Perpetual?
and I would say we should limit it.
yes,
We limit it to a year or 2 years, I can't remember.
I think we do more than that.
yeah.
don't we? Do you remember what we've done before?
I don't remember. Nick, do you remember?
I seem to remember 20 years on the last.
I remember 20 years.
20 years.
I remember 20 years.
I
I
think
don't
we have,
remember 20. I mean, I think somebody said, oh, maybe they said they could actually
You
last
asked-
longer than that.
Yeah, you asked about the life expectancy of a lifetime of
I'm thinking 10.
I'd go with 10 as well.
10's fine with me.
10's fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, the idea being that they need to check to make sure the structure is still in good shape.
Right.
So at the end of 10 years, do I come?
Yeah,
in
you
front
will,
of the-
you'll come
still
back here.
want it?
I won't be here, but you come on back.
There's a good chance I won't be here too, but
Right.
Cindy's a little younger than I would, and she would have to deal with it, and I just want to make sure it's all done right.
Is the board attaching any conditions? If yes, please state those conditions here.
Anything other than changing?
Other than
from
10
today
years,
to
I
10
guess.
years?
Other than 10 years rather than
10 years.
perpetually,
Okay,
in perpetuity to be specific.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so just the 10 years. Okay. I'd like to make a motion in case number 101525-2 to grant the special exception.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, in case number 101525, number -2, the request for a special exception was granted.
So can I ask a question then? Does this allow me to move forward to do this, or do I have to wait for some documentation or something?
There is a 30-day appeal period, but other than that, you can move forward.
So he should wait at least 30 days to make sure none of his neighbors appeal.
Correct.
So somebody could come back to us next month and say, I want you to change your mind and give us some reasons if you don't wanna move, if you don't wanna have a small chance that somebody might do that, you should wait that period of time.
Okay. Just that my only concern is winter's coming,
I'm with you.
so was my, trying to get it done before it gets snowed in like this.
We can't change.
I understand.
You could choose whatever you want. We don't see a lot of appeals, but could happen.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ready for the next case?
Uh,
For the next case.
Sorry, oh,
Oh,
where's the one, nothing to sign on
did you
this
give me
one?
a second? You only gave me the
Oh,
one.
you signed it, okay. Okay, yep, ready for the next case.
Case number 101525-1, a request for a variance from LZO 4.1.2 table to allow use of a facility for the storage, maintenance, and transportation of heavy construction boring equipment and offices in the AR1 zoning district. The parcel is located at 108 West Road in the AR1 zoning district, tax map 5, lot 58. Allison Batchelder, trustee of the Donna A. Pico Revocable Trust Agreement of November 23rd, 1993, owner, Helical Drilling, Inc., applicant.
Welcome.
Good evening.
I understand you have counsel that is coming.
Yes, so
Okay.
our attorney is at a planning board meeting in Wyndham, and we expect her here. I mean,
Sorry we finished that first one so quickly.
that's okay. So I think what we're going to move forward with is, so I'm Trevor Yanda with Meridian Land Services. I'm going to kind of do a brief just overview of the property and touch on some of the more technical matters, and then
I'm Christian Littlefield. I'm representing Helical Drilling. Just gonna, after he gets through running through that, I'm gonna run through a little bit of the timeline, how Pico developed into, Helical bought Pico and continued on the business over the years to show you change.
And then hopefully by that time, the attorney's back and can get into the nitty gritty of the variance criteria.
Okay,
So I guess with that, Kristen, could you go to Exhibit D of the application package, if you could? So just, again, kind of a brief overview of the property. As you know, it's in the AR1 zone. It's got about 800 feet of frontage on West Road, and it's also got frontage on Tavern Lane to the south, about 1,000 feet. Total acreage is just over 20 acres. And the property is bisected kind of from northeast to southwest by Nessunkeag Brook, which you can kind of see on this exhibit as the blue hatched areas. It runs essentially right through the property and kind of divides it into two distinct upland areas. In terms of surrounding properties, we've got single-family residential to the north and west, and to the south and east is town-owned conservation and recreation land. I believe it's Continental Park, I think is what's to the west. A couple soccer fields back there. And then as far as the existing infrastructure on the property, all the buildings are located on the north side of Nessunkeog Brook. There's a handful of structures there that have been used for warehousing, storage, various business operations throughout the life of the property. And I guess just touching quickly on the historic uses of the property, which Christian will get a little bit more into. Basically from I'll say the mid-1960s to the mid-1970s, it was Pico Sand and Gravel, which was a gravel screening and processing facility. And then from the mid-70s to, I'd say, the early to mid-90s, it was Scott Concrete, which was a precast concrete manufacturer, septic tanks, stairs, bulkheads. The list kind of goes on there. And then from the mid-90s to the early 2000s was Pico Enterprises, which did grouting and various kind of ground improvement stuff. And then Helical from 2002 to now. So that's kind of the brief overview there. And Kristen, could you go to Exhibit D next, please? Yeah. Or sorry, E. Next one. In terms of what Helical is looking to do, is expand the business a little bit to have additional space to conduct, various business operations. And to do that, they've been working with us to develop just a conceptual plan to show to you guys tonight for an 8,400 square foot building that, if we're successful tonight, we would proceed with, obviously applying for site plan approval in the future. And we just think that this location shown here by the yellow box on the, to the north of all the existing structures is a kind of the best location on the site. It's already it's a gravel pad, essentially. It's pretty much ready for a building. It provides, efficient access without kind of disrupting other aspects of the site. And it also would provide some kind of noise screening for any abutting residential properties to the north. So it just kind of works as far as that goes. The other piece that we looked at from an engineering standpoint and just wanted to share with the board tonight was traffic. Figure that could potentially be a question that would come up. And it is Exhibit B in your packet. It's a brief memo talking about the business operations that, typical day-to-day stuff for helical drilling and the trips generated. Between employee trips, deliveries, and shipments, we're looking at 55 trips per day. Not a very large number, and I guess when comparing that to what Scott Concrete would have been at their kind of peak operational capacity, it's, I was looking at between 80 and 100 trips per day for that time period. So we're in the same ballpark, and don't anticipate any adverse impacts to the existing traffic, network in the area as a result of this expansion in use. And I guess with that, I hand it over to you, Christian.
Thank you. So as Trevor was saying, Fred Pico partnered up with somebody in the 60s, got into the sand and gravel business. The sand and gravel business, after a few years, turned into a precast concrete business, which started asking for permissions to build some of the buildings. I believe 2 of them, the larger building was built in the late 70s to house the precast concrete operation. As they started to grow their precast concrete business, they added a few more buildings, along with the precast concrete came a request to start to fix leaking concrete structures and tanks that had been poorly installed or things like that. So this became a side business for Mr. Pico. And you use different types of grouts to fix cracks and leaking tanks and pipes and things like that. They continued on doing the Pico Enterprises, the grouting on the side, and Scott Concrete as the precast concrete business until the late 90s. Then they decided to wind down the concrete business they just had enough of it, I guess. They like the grouting a little bit more, less people. So they wound down the Scott Concrete, and they continued just doing the grouting business as Pico Enterprises. They did that for about 5 years, maintaining 5 or 6 employees. And as Fred got a little bit older, he wanted to retire and sell out of it. And that's when Helical Drilling, who I worked for at the time, way back in 2002, became interested in it, and we had purchased the business of Pico Enterprises for his knowledge about the various types of groutings that he had done. All his grouting to do with, again, fixing leaking pipes, settling floor slabs, sinking buildings, anything to do with structural foundation support. And most of his expertise was all in some sort of pumping of a grout and whatnot. Helical didn't do any of that. We just installed piles, like helical piles or a screw type anchor. At the time, we were about 15 people, I guess, combined between the two companies. Helical, as the time has gone by, continued to do this various types of grouting, servicing all over New England. We've added a few other things over the years to do ground improvement, which is putting stone or concrete in the ground for support of structural foundations and shoring to hold up buildings and excavation for trenches and whatnot. This business has grown over the years, but we've still used the Pico property as our home base for our storage yard and shop support and whatnot. They maintain about 10 people, 11 people there, truck driver, a little bit of an admin, and welders and mechanics and our yard people. And as Travis said, we're interested in kind of honestly upgrading the buildings, using one of the buildings just primarily for storage and putting a newer building for just more updated electrical service and place to work and whatnot. And going through that process, this triggered all the variance questions, and here we are today. 95% of the work, Helical's about 85 people now. The majority of the work that they do is they're doing on construction sites throughout New England and not at Londonderry. Londonderry is just their shop base. And that's what I have for history. Is there any questions? I know this.
Yep.
About
So
50, 60
the
years.
new building you're proposing, the 400 square foot building, that is going to be more of office?
No, it would be storage facility and like a garage bay.
You mean garage bays? What do you mean by garage bay?
Like
bays.
I don't know.
where you could pull in a truck, park it,
Truck
keep it
bays.
out of the weather or stuff like
Okay.
that.
And how close is that to the nearest abutter?
Uh,
I know you're on a 20 acre
It should
lot.
be the required offset, if not further.
You're not.
I believe it's like
Yeah.
75 feet.
If you go to, I know I don't have the,
E.
it's off, it's on the north side of the sheet. If you go to Exhibit D real quick, I just want to basically take note of where the leach field is. There's the, I don't know, come
Yeah,
on.
there's a Litchfield
So,
in the upper right-hand corner.
so the building's gonna go, well, they're looking to have it in this area here. So your nearest abutter is up here. Again, I mean, it's over 100 feet. I would say this is a 40-foot front setback here. I'm just kind of scaling it off. You know, you can't even see the northerly lot line at this scale. So at 80 to 100 feet, I would say. I can, I don't have a plan that has the building with the full lot at this scale, but it's substantially outside of the setback and away from that abutter. We're inside the tree line that's shown on the north side there. Anyway,
So there's no actual work going on in that building besides some storage and parking
In
of
the,
equipment.
well,
in the proposed building or the,
I'm sure there'll be some mechanic work being done in it, but that's about it.
And what are you storing in there?
Cement, mostly cement, tools of the trade, things like that. We don't deal with any toxic chemicals or anything like that, other than
What are your hours of operation there?
5 days a week, 7 to 5. Trucks will leave early for deliveries, and crews leave early out of there. They'll leave at 5 o'clock in the morning, but that's not typical, that's day and specific. I'd say that happens, it could happen once every day, and it could not happen for a few days.
Okay, so this new building is not going to increase the traffic, is that what your traffic is?
No, it's going to
report
just
telling me?
facilitate, a little more efficient use of space for what they want each building to be.
Yeah, those,
The traffic study wasn't an increase, it was just like what's going on today and what will go on after that's done.
Correct, and what we looked at too was, I think right now there's about 10 employees. The traffic memo was done assuming there would be, I think, a max of 13 employees, so if they do,
Some growth.
if there's some growth in the future, there's a little bit of room for that. And again, with the trips that are generated, it's not a lot, I guess, in terms of, what it is now and what it, a couple extra employees isn't gonna blow it sky high.
I have a bunch of questions.
If that makes sense.
Okay, you go.
Okay, so your predecessors, it's kind of almost humorous when you read the description, came before the zoning board here multiple times in the 70s and the 80s. You're not asking for a variance on setback, you're not asking for a height variance, you're not asking for a side yard. You're asking for this use because of the current zoning of the property, correct? That's what that petition is, correct?
So, and
Interpretation, but-
Well, I'm asking the petitioner, but I think it's clear in the application. So my question is, how are those other uses, was the zoning change? Do you see what I'm getting at, Nick? The zoning change, why are these guys before us for this piece when they have other buildings on that site and other operations that are very similar?
The variance that they got in the 70s was for a cement batching business.
Okay, and how's this different?
This is a different business from,
Well, I understand, but,
it's a different type of business that
Okay.
they're operating.
all right.
and I guess, sorry, go ahead.
No, hopefully Pat doesn't yell at me for being too brutally honest with this. I guess ultimately this all came about because the Picos and Helical have had a great relationship for, 20-something years. We're looking to purchase the property, continue doing the use on it. And through that investigation of what can we do with the property, we figured out that there was a very, very specific variance on it that says for the manufacture of concrete. And to Nick's point, which is different, that was really towards precast concrete manufacturing.
Yeah.
So the letter of the law, it is different than what we're doing, but if you take a step back over the history of it, the property's really been used as an industrial warehousing facility and
And light
My correction.
manufacturing.
light manufacturing, industrial warehousing, place for the last 35 years with no major change. But we just want to get it corrected so that, Helical's in the right place,
Yeah.
Picos are in the right place, and we're doing things in the right
So,
direction.
and the other two other questions, I'm an architect, so we use silica piles all the time in the designs, but not yours particularly, but you're not looking for a new curb cut in your plans.
Nope.
So you're not looking for a new entrance to the street.
Nope.
And I want to reiterate what somebody just asked a few minutes ago. The number of trips that you mentioned, which are, in my opinion, substantial, given the neighborhood personally, but are not being increased by what's going to be built there?
Nope. At the end of the day, the proposed building is to give an upgrade to the other buildings. I'm not familiar with the exhibits, but is there one that shows the
You can go
buildings a little bit
to
better?
E. Zoomed in, yeah.
There we go. So the building to the left and down,
No, he's gonna go.
if you don't mind. So this is a small metal building. It's, I think, 40 by 60. It's been there, I think, since the sand and gravel operation, or very close for it. They're using this as a mechanic shop right now. The intention is to replace this building and a part of this building just be for storage. And put the mechanics and welder up in here and storage up in there. We have a few shipping containers around that is also used as storage, like this one, and there's a trailer here. Kind of get rid of all this stuff and consolidate it into one building. We are pretty negotiable, or I want to be negotiable and flexible in the location of this building, because we kind of want to clean all this stuff up. The only other kind of part to it is there is a foundation for an old office there, and there was some thought of utilizing that foundation for part of the office, or we put a part of the office in the new building.
I just have one last question, Madam Chair. When I look at Google Street View, there's pretty dense vegetation in front of where the building's gonna go. You can't, at least now with the leaves off, maybe you can, but
Yep.
you can't really see it. Are you gonna maintain that screen that's there now? It's there now.
Yep.
Okay.
The intent would be to add or adjust anything as need be. There is a berm, actually, I believe it was a requirement somewhere, I don't remember what zoning thing I saw it in, but there was a berm that was to be added, which is there. So there is a berm from.
It's on the
turn-
north side,
Yeah, yeah. You turn the camera to
left.
the left. Yeah, right. Yeah, it actually starts right about there, and then it goes up to the property line to the next resident, and then it runs behind, parallel to the property line and perpendicular to West Road about, I think, 200 or 300 feet in, maybe 150. So this building, like the floor elevation is probably about 8 to 10 feet lower than your abutter. So the abutter is here, there's a berm, and then where it drops down here.
So all of that being said, that's not really the purpose of the variance, which
I
Rob
understand.
pointed out. It's to permit the operation of a business known as Elica Drilling, not permitted under the ordinance, which engages in the design and installation of concrete pilings for the foundation support at other locations, and allow the storage of tools, equipment, vehicles, and materials to do this work at the subject property. So everybody knows what we're talking about.
So, I don't know if this would make her, I'm just thinking, if they were building that other building but continuing the exact same work, they would need to be here, like, or would they still, because they're building another building on the property?
I don't know that it would have come to light, but in what has been said here is they're buying the property, they want to make sure that they can use it for the purpose that they're buying it for,
Right.
because it is not an allowed use in that zone,
Okay.
even though it's been used for a very long time.
Okay.
So, but
I do, yeah.
good legal advice said, make sure you come here and make sure you get your,
Yeah.
I've got a question for you. Do you think, hearing how the business, the evolution of this business has changed several times, do you think that the current conditions there are out of compliance with variances that have been granted? I'm hearing that there's a new business in place and something different is being done down there than the original ones. Is that something that's going to happen tomorrow, or proposed to happen tomorrow, or it's already happening on the site?
I would say it, how do
I will
the
say,
use of the property, I don't think has changed since the early 90s.
okay,
However, since the early 90s, it hasn't been the use to what, I guess, the variance is written for specifically.
okay.
However, the precast concrete plant is still there, and I guess could have the potential to be resurrected and put back to use.
Okay, so that's a concern. Number two, I heard conflicting things here. One, there'll be no additional traffic with this, and then there may be expansion from 12 to 13 employees, or there may be. So are we saying that this is not, as far as the neighborhood is concerned, this is not going to impact them with any additional trips, any additional traffic? Is that what we're saying?
So the memorandum that I wrote, that's included in your packet, the number of employees listed at the site is, I believe it's 13. Right now, there is 10. So we essentially built in a 3-employee buffer, call it, just to illustrate the number of trips that, the maximum, I guess, and it was the purpose and intent of that. And just looking at the trip generation manual, each employee is about 4 trips per day.
Okay,
So technically, that the number is, call it 12 less than what is, stated in that report as the, what would be the maximum kind of build out and usage, if that makes sense.
does, thank you.
Okay.
any other questions? Okay. Typically, we would have the 5 criteria presented, but I'm going to, at this point, put it out to the audience if anyone has, speaking in support of the application, if they'd like to come forward. Seeing none, if anyone has any questions, concerns, speaking against the application, if you want to come forward. Good evening again. If you, your name and address, please.
Yes.
Thanks.
Good evening. My name is George, and my wife Lynn Moranian, 114 West Road in Londonderry. Good evening to the zoning board and everybody here. We are a direct abutter to the north of Helical Drilling on West Road, as shown on the map there. One down, one further down, right there. As it has not been quite a nightmare living next door, there have been times when there have been issues. We cannot speak for the other abutters' concerns, present or not. However, here are our concerns. The site plan Exhibit E does not show the height of the proposed building. If it will be higher than the 35-foot height restriction for an AR1 zone, then that will be an issue. When helical vehicles' diesel engines are idling or being used, the associated noise can be heard on our property and in our house. Also, the diesel exhaust fumes that at times drift into our house and property is an issue. The vehicle backup klaxons at most times of the day is an issue. I know that this is a definite safety item. However, living next to that noise day in and day out gets to be a real earful and tiring. At times, there have been instances of loud noises before 7 a.m. The testing and maintenance of their drilling rigs at their site next door has at times creates lots of noise and has in the past caused our whole house to shake severely with the pounding of what I would call the sound or feeling of pile driving or heavy hammering. Finally, we are concerned about the possibility of hydraulic fluids, oils, and fuel leaks and spills from their vehicles leaching into the wetlands and our domestic water well. We are concerned about the above matters. If all these issues shown above can be resolved along with the abutters' issues to ours and the abutters' satisfaction, in my opinion anyways, it is possible we could come to an agreement. But for now, the answer is my wife and I, are opposed to this variance. This issue may not have been an issue in the past with the previous abutters, but now, for us anyway, they are. Thank you for your time.
If I could just ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So it appears that you purchased the property in 2008?
No, that was a refi.
Okay.
It was originally purchased by my wife in 2000. 2000,
Okay.
yes.
So you've seen a change since you purchased the property in 2000?
There has been not too much of a change that I can recall.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
We don't normally question the people that speak,
Okay.
but I just wanted to get some clarity on a timeline. Thank you. Is there anyone else that has questions, objections? Is there anything in the file?
Good evening.
Evening.
Ross McLean, 12 Burling Road. One of the abutters, the other house that's on the north end of the property. I have an official letter. I don't know. I was going to read this longer than I think. I don't know if we're timed for 3 or 5 minutes or anything like that, but I wanted to, if I can submit that.
Yes? Yeah.
So good evening, members of the zoning board. My name is Ross McLean, 12 Burling Road, directly abutting the property at 108 West Road. I'm here to respectfully oppose the variance request that would allow Helical Drilling, Inc. to continue their and expand their industrial operations on that site. First, I want to thank Kelly Karen from the town offices. Her transparency and communication for the last couple of weeks has been very helpful, helping me and perhaps other residents to understand the application, the whole zoning process. Helical Drilling, formerly Pico Industries, to my best knowledge, has been operating now at this location for over 20 years without the proper variance. That's concerning. Many of us in Londonderry follow zoning rules, and allowing this variance now feels like rewarding decades of noncompliance, and would raise serious questions about fairness and enforcement. As an abutter, I experience impacts during the day. I can cite that I've noticed activity there in the 4 o'clock hour of trucks running, idling, and then just like the previous speaker before me, noise in the house, vibrations in the house from things going on the property. These disruptions I would find to be out of step with a quiet residential nature in an AR1 district. This property also borders conservation land and a public recreation area, a pond, home to wildlife habitat or wildlife. Same as the last speaker, not sure if any runoff or industrial noise impacts that space. I don't know if the Conservation Committee or the Rec Department has questions. I don't feel like this variance is in spirit of the ordinance, which aims to protect residential and conservation zones. I don't see how the economic convenience for one company outweighs the disruption to the neighbors or the environment, as this is not the appropriate location. Londonderry has industrial zones. This is not one of them. Lastly, I'd like to ask the board to consider a couple questions. What enforcement is in place for businesses operating without a variance or the proper variance for decades? And how would neighbors be compensated for that long-term environmental and quality of life impacts? Londonderry, I find, has worked hard to strike a balance between development and rural preservation. I feel like granting this variance would tip that balance in the wrong direction and set a precedent. So for these reasons, I respectfully urge to deny the variance request. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have anyone else like to speak?
My name's Rainey Graham Mason, and I live at 14 Allen Circle, Londonderry. I'm across the street. I wouldn't mind them having their garage and stuff, but I think the noise is going to be too loud. In the morning, the trucks are pulling in, the beep, 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 and the unloading the trucks, loading the trucks, the banging. It's just not feasible for me. But if we can get along, start it after 7, noise after 7, that wouldn't be, as bad. Yeah, that's good for me.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's George Chin of 7 Berlin. I'm next door, a neighbor of Mr. McLean. I share the same concern of Mr. McLean. The noise and the vibrations are unbearable. I'm on the 2nd floor. Sometimes my laptop on the desk would vibrate when it go boom, bang, boom. It's terrible. That's my concern, the noise and the vibration. And several cracks happen on the foundation. And they're not bad, but it's bad enough that you notice that when we first moved in, there was no cracks. But after several years, the cracks started showing. So it may be because of settling the house due to the years go by, and the vibration and the banging. I think it's because of the loading, unloading. I'm not sure what. It caused, like, sometimes you would think that it's an earthquake or something. And it's very troubling. In a good neighborhood, right, Londonderry. That's the reason why we move in here. Londonderry is a very good town. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else like to speak? Okay. If you're quick.
Ross McLean, 12 Burling Road. I just wanted to second what George had said about cracks in the foundation. That's not something that even crossed my mind when I bought my property. I don't know what impact it could possibly have. Maybe it's moot. But when I bought my property in 2000, almost my son, 2015, the basement floor, one small line, but it's grown, and then I'm not sure about the cracks that are on the wall. But if that's part of due to helical drilling and how close we are and the work they do, and then my concerns for the new building as well are during the winter when the leaves are gone, we can already see into their lot and see trucks, equipment, storage containers now putting up, an 8,400 square foot building would be another site, which should be trees in an AR1 zone. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, last call. Anyone out there? Very good. Do you want to have an opportunity to?
Yeah, just a
Okay.
couple quick comments.
of
I
course.
do want to remind that helical drilling is not the only industrial commercial guys on West Road. I know I sat in that office in 108 for a long time. You can feel Continental shoot at both pits, which will shake your coffee cup off the table. It's part of the nature. There's also a lot of industrial truck traffic that has nothing to do with helical drilling. Continental runs down and other people use it as a cut-through street. I know they're not supposed to. So I just we are not the only ones who use that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And our
Questions from the board at this point? So it's 5 of 8.
yeah,
Sorry. 8.
I mean,
We can wait a bit to see if your attorney's going to show up in a few minutes, or
can step outside and
Sure,
just
go
give
right
her a
ahead.
call, and I appreciate this. Thank you.
want to take a brief recess?
Sure, why not?
Yep.
Sure.
We'll do recess for 10 minutes.
If you read their notes, it looks like they've changed ownership. You should ask them. That's been, I think the facility's been there for a very long time. I don't know what they've been doing. My son used to play soccer, and I don't even remember paying attention to it. I was more interested in the soccer game. Yeah.
Rightly so.
Guys, I still don't know. Wyndham is apparently keeping her attention,
Okay,
so we hope, but,
We're gonna run through the criterion for the variance
we're gonna run through.
as, I mean, essentially as written for,
Okay.
you know,
Well, let him run through it, and then we'll go back out, and we'll
Good.
get you out
Okay.
there too, sir.
Yeah, we'll do questions again.
okay.
Just one rebuttal on the comment about Continental. Continental is in a industrial zoned area, and we as residents really do not have that much control on their trucks and which way they go. However, I will say they are very respectful of the time. That is a no-through trucks zone, and I understand they're on West Road and they have access. But to give Continental their due, they do honor that restriction of no-through trucks between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to hang or?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Prince.
Sorry. Thank you for your patience.
Yep, been there myself.
Okay, so we were going through the variance test?
So we were just going to. We went through the
Okay.
history.
Timing
We
is
did-
excellent.
Yeah. We did get public comment already.
All right, great. Okay. So, you want me to read it verbatim, Mr.
Entirely up to
Chairman?
you. If you want to give us some background, we got a lot of history already, so, and I know there's a lot here, so we probably don't have to cover that. But, you know, if you want to hit the high points, you want to read it, whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay. All right. So the high points. All right, we're looking for variance from section 4.2.1 and 4.2.1.2 for tax map 5, lot 58. To operate a business, that business use is not permitted in the AR1 zone. The business designs and installs concrete pilings for foundation support at third-party locations. It also stores tools and equipment and vehicles on the site and has for a very long time. Helical Drilling acquired Pico Enterprises in 2002. The parcel includes 20 acres more or less, has 650 feet of frontage on West Road with one driveway. Along the frontage, there are some tall bushy trees that obscure the buildings that are on the site. There's 1,000 feet of frontage along the easterly side of the parcel along Tavern Lane, and it abuts the West Road fields. There are 2 residential homes to the north. The land is generally bisected, and you probably saw that on Trevor's plan, by Nessing Cave Brook. And the brook has a 100-foot setback. Between the setback and the wetland, about 12 acres, more than half the parcel is restricted, although there are some improvements in the setback area that were placed there before the setback was required. The business operations on this site, when it was much larger, began in 1966, when it was 61 acres. Parcels were sold off over time. Parts of it to developers, part for the subdivision that's located to the north. And generally speaking, the buildings have all been there by variances or special exceptions granted by the town in the past for a far more intense use of the property. Helical acquired the Pico Enterprise business and currently leases the property, the land. in 2002. For about 4 or 5 years, they operated at the same level, same amount of traffic, but at a much less intense level than the prior operations. Helical would like to continue operating from the site. It may, in the future, which is undecided yet, if possible, put in another storage building to keep the things inside and keep the site tidy, for which, of course, a site plan approval would be required. And it is continuing the same operation it has been conducting there now for more than 20 years. So we think that granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest, because to be contrary, it must unduly and to a marked degree violate the basic zoning objectives of the ordinance, alter the essential character of the neighborhood, or threaten the public health, safety, or welfare. None of these impacts are present here. One of the more important objectives of zoning is the segregation and organization of land uses to protect the public, an obvious example of which would be segregating industrial uses from residential uses to avoid people living in their home from being exposed to traffic congestion, dust, noise, and pollution, and other hazards that can accompany business uses. None of those are here. And arguably, the activity on this site has diminished over the 60 years it's been there. When a business like that, the business is operated by the former owner, continue operating in the same location for almost 40 years, and a successor steps into their shoes, but the surrounding area continues to develop in conformity with zoning, it is very difficult to argue those operations have altered the essential character of the neighborhood, because it's become part of the neighborhood. Had PICO or Helical had a adverse impact on the surrounding area, it would have stalled development. But the surrounding area has continued to develop residentially, some of which are located on land formerly owned by PICO. Helical's operations, though, are substantially less than those of the former businesses. And continuing to use the existing businesses as they've been used in a similar fashion, but in a more modernized way, and of course with far more regulatory constraints, would not be contrary to the public interest. PICO was granted 5 variances and 1 special exception between 1970 and 1988, when the zoning at that time was the same as it is today. And there were no objections that I'm aware of. As described above and confirmed in the affidavit of the former owner, the truck traffic generated by Helical pales when compared to the traffic generated by Pico Sand and Scott Concrete that operated from this site for many, many years. The number of persons employed by Helical and the traffic they added during the first 5 to 6 years they were there was about the same. But recent increased demand for its services has prompted Helical to hire a couple more employees, slightly increasing the traffic reported on Exhibit B, which is the traffic memorandum. That change appears to have no impact on the site or the ongoing development of the area. What has not changed is that only the specialized tool, equipment, vehicles, and materials formerly used by the former owner remain stored at the premises and are used by Helical for the same installations that take place off-site. There is no evidence to show this business has had a contrary impact on the neighborhood, changed its character, or stifled new development. threaten public safety, or in allowing Helical to continue operating as it presently is, will be no different. Pico Sand and Gravel and Scott Concrete began operating when there was little to no residential use along West Road. And along with Continental Paving and the traffic that goes in the area associated with the West Road fields and other businesses that are closer to New Hampshire Route 102, the existence of this activity has not stopped the growth in the area, and it would not be contrary to the public interest to allow Helical to continue operating from the site. And the spirit of the ordinance is observed for the same reasons presented, that it's not contrary to the public interest. And there is nothing that goes on at the Helical site that threatens public safety or welfare. Substantial justice would also be done because the potential loss to the individual must be outweighed by a gain to the public. After Pico began operating in 1966, and as it began running Scott Concrete, the ZBA, over the course of those years, did grant 6 permits allowing the construction of the industrial style structures that are located on the property and accommodate those businesses. It would be unjust to deny Helical or his predecessor the right to use those buildings and continue to do so, and denying the variance would cause them a substantial loss in their investment in those structures. While Pico's truck traffic has substantially abated over time, when the company was sold to Helical in 2002, it remained the same. Helical engages in the same business activities as did Pico in 2002. The fabrication of tools and pilings, grouting, and repair of concrete structures to provide or restore stability to all types of building foundations using the existing structures. After acquiring Pico Enterprises, Helical's work became more modernized and sophisticated, requiring the product line and the design build services to become more sophisticated. This also required it to begin to fabricate its own novelty special products and new ground improvement techniques to broaden its appeal to the construction industry throughout New England. While Helical was unaware the evolution of its business techniques required it request a variance until recently, it has continued the same operations as the former owner, although at a far less intense rate than occurred then. And denying the relief here would be substantially unjust and deny both the reasonable use of the improvements on the site. The values of the surrounding properties have not been diminished. The premises was used by the former owner's 3 businesses for more than 40 years. And that use continued by Helical for an additional 20, during which time the permits were granted by the ZBA to make the business improvements to the property. Those improvements continue to have substantial value, and there is no evidence Pico's prior use of the premises or its prior improvements to support its business operation stifled development in the surrounding area in accordance with zoning, or that it harmed the ever-increasing assessed values of those properties, confirming Helical's continued use will not be detrimental to the surrounding property values. Exhibit C is just photographs and assessed values for what they're worth of the surrounding properties. The literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance, specifically the business uses are not permitted, would cause an unnecessary hardship. For purposes of this paragraph, Unnecessary hardship, of course, means that due to the property's special conditions that are different from other properties in the area, it would suffer an unnecessary hardship if the ordinance is strictly applied. The special conditions here that distinguish it from others in the area when the permitted uses in the AR1 ordinance are strictly applied include that 20.35 acre area being bisected by the brook, to which the 100-foot buffer applies. Without including building setbacks, this alone excludes 12 acres or more than half of the land from any use. In addition, the owners made a substantial investment in the existing buildings and improvements to the premises after receiving all appropriate approvals, which Helical hopes to continue utilizing in its business operations. In denying that opportunity would deny the owners ongoing reasonable use of those improvements also. No fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that restriction to the property. This prong requires the ZBA determine the public purpose served by the ordinance restriction from which the applicant has requested relief, and requires it assess whether the purpose would be frustrated by granting the variance, and whether the strict application to the premises, in light of its special conditions, it would advance the purpose of the ordinance. By limiting the permitted uses in the AR1 zone, the public is protected from the perils of businesses such as heavy industrial and commercial uses, which might expose residents living in the area to traffic congestion, dust, noise, and other hazards. But between 1966 and 2002, and then again to the present, these businesses have fully operated from the premises. While there is no evidence these businesses have caused these perils that would impact the residents living in the area, although I would suspect they may have early on, but there weren't many residents there. The ZBA actually granted permits to allow it to grow. The first variance was to construct and occupy a 40 by 60 metal building adjacent to the office building now occupied by Pico Sands administrative employees. A variance to build a crushing plant. A special exception to construct a screening plant in 1972. Another variance in 74 to construct and operate a concrete batch plant. The equipment is still there. And a variance to construct a new 34 by 74 industrial building to store the concrete products that were manufactured by Scott Concrete until they were sold. And a variance to enlarge that storage building in 1988. That was not that long ago. Helical has continued to use all of these structures since 2002 for storage, with the exception of the screening plant, without issue. Since there is no evidence that the Helical's business operations create the perils I've described that offend local residents, strict application of the uses permitted in the AR zone to the premises, which now excludes businesses, imposes an unnecessary hardship and would deprive the owner and the applicant of the reasonable use of the existing structures and other improvements located on the premises, all of which were approved by the ZBA when there is no evidence that purpose is frustrated by no evidence the purpose of the restriction would be advanced by denying the variance. The proposed use is reasonable. First of all, it exists. It is far if a far more intense use of the premise for the past was viewed as unreasonable by the ZBA between 1970 and 1988, it probably would have denied those applications. But since they were approved and the use is quite a bit less, and Pico constructed those improvements and now allows Helical to continue to use them, allowing that to continue is reasonable.
Okay. Thank you.
That was long.
We did have public comment while you were not here. There were several abutters that spoke in opposition. I don't know if the board has any questions for council. Go right ahead.
So am I to understand that since 2002, when Helical started working, being there, what has gone on that site has not changed? It's
Correct.
still the same stuff that has gone on since 2002? Is that correct?
2002, yes.
Okay, so anything, so there's no change in any of the things that they've done?
No.
Okay, so things have not gotten worse, things have not gotten better, it's been the same. Okay, I just needed to understand that.
I think there has been some more attention given to the site. There were a couple of areas that needed to just be cleaned up a little bit, and I think to that extent it's been improved as far as the physical aspect of the site, but the business activities have remained fairly flat. And I think Christian probably explained to the board that it's fabrication and design that goes on with the specialized tools within the confines of the site. Any kind of installation takes place at a third-party site away from this property.
Thank you.
So that was in your materials as well, so thank you. But I can tell you that the abutters are concerned about trucks idling, noise, vibration. It was consistent throughout the 4 or 5 people that came forward. So I don't know if you want to speak to that. But
I guess my question would be, where is that taking place? I don't know
where
if
is
they,
it taking place?
where is the idling and the noise
Right on the Locust property,
within the property, not on the road?
correct? And that, business is sometimes happening before 7 o'clock in the morning, so that these activities are happening early. That was one of my questions, and what was the business hours on the property? And, they did respond 7 to 5, which is fine, but
Thank
just
you.
catching her up on what happened.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, so that she can be fully aware. It's a difficult issue. The last variance was 47 years ago, if my math is correct. So it's a long time. It's an interesting fact pattern of how those were awarded. I can't speak to that, although I've been here a very long time. So I understand the concerns of the abutters. I understand this business has been there for a long time, so that what is happening should not be new to what is in that area, and it is something that we have to weigh when we are looking at making a decision tonight, so.
Yeah, I guess I have a question, because I'm trying to, thinking about the third point. What would change for the business if the variance was not granted tonight? Like, if they've been doing the same thing, they're continuing to do the same thing, more or less, what would change if the variance did not get granted tonight?
The business would have to leave.
Can you speak up, please? We really can't hear you.
I'm sorry. The business, I assume, would have to leave. because it would no longer be permitted, and that would be a tremendous loss. In the alternative, perhaps there are ways that the issues that have been created can be addressed in a more effective way. I can't speak to that specifically. The other confounding factor is there's a lot of truck traffic on West Road from other businesses. So that was why I asked about where the truck idling was taking place, because we know for a fact there's a lot of other truck
It's
traffic.
on your property.
Okay.
You just missed the comments, but.
So, and the concern with granting the variance is, once we do that, we have no control over the number of employees there, expansion of what we've approved. So that is a concern. And I don't know how we control that, because once it's granted, it's granted. You can speak to that.
Would the board entertain granting the variance subject to no additional employees being added? We've been very upfront about the number of employees that are there, but perhaps to condition any consideration of an approval on no more working from the site or going in and out of the site.
It's certainly something we can consider. Thank you.
I actually had a question. I'm confused now, to be honest with you. I have a question based on something that Nick said, which is not for the attorney or for the petitioner, and that is that, I'm going to explain it the way I understand it, okay? First of all, I'm not sure from a legal standpoint what precedent these prior ZBA variances hold today, so I can't speak to that. Some of them were over like 60 years ago, basically.
Well, they still exist.
They still exist, and
This
they're
issue, what we do today will carry forward.
That's true.
Yes.
But they're not precedent setting other than they exist the way they were given at the time. They're not setting a precedent for further approvals, is what I'm getting.
We don't set precedent by.
I know that, but I just want to get on record. Number one. Number two, Nick, you made a comment that the reason they're before us for this building they want to build is because the nature of the business that the prior owner had, which the variances were granted under, is not the current business. Is that correct? Is that correct?
That's correct.
So this is
For the use.
Mr. whatever the other gentleman's name was that owned this place. I don't want to scroll away from what I'm looking at. Was here, and he was still doing precast concrete or shotcreting of tanks or whatever. That they would still have to come before us?
No,
No.
no, if he was doing just his concrete business,
Okay.
making septic tanks, no. He had a
To
variance
me,
for
this
that.
is a critical issue in this case that I wanted to lay on the table, right? Because I don't think it was clearly, just because they've been there since 2002, doing this, the business they're doing now, is not the original business.
No.
Should they have done something when they purchased that property to come to the town, asking for some relief because of change of business type?
Well, the change of use, but yes.
Or change of use, yeah.
Yeah,
So, but they did not.
no.
Okay. And
Well,
And one last thing. The last thing I wanted to mention is that manufacturing and warehousing is specifically prohibited in AR1 in our zoning code. And this is as close as you're going to get to that, right? Anyway,
But it's been in existence for a long period of time.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but not in its current. I'm just pointing out because I'm trying to wrap my head around this, right? Normally we get a height variance or a setback or whatever. This is not what this is, right? And that's why what I'm talking about, I think, is very important.
Well, the use, the argument she's putting forth is that the use is less than it was previously when those other variances
I
were
mean,
granted.
do we really know that for a fact? I don't know.
Well, I think
yes.
by the nature of what the business is, and I'm certainly
you're testing to it.
This is no expert in this area.
Yeah.
But the current use, and like a lot of things have improved so that the amount of pollution and et cetera being created is not what it used to be. I think that makes sense, but
What I can tell you is that when Mr. Pico started operating in 1966, the zoning ordinance in the town of Londonderry was very thin, and it encouraged home businesses. So there were businesses in the area. I don't know if he lived on this property or lived near it, but nonetheless, he started operating back then, and business just evolved from one business to a related business. And as far as going from the concrete product manufacturing process, and I don't work with concrete, so I'm going to take a stab at this. My understanding was the movement from pouring concrete big structures on site and storing them in the garage sort of evolved into the grouting, which seems to be less intense. And it's often hard to draw a line between how businesses change and evolve over time. We don't often, like a manufacturer, they may decide to operate or make another product. They don't run to the town and say, oh, we're going to manufacture a new product. Can we do that? They just don't. And when Helical purchased the business, not the land, the grouting business had been operating for years. He purchased the business on the site as an ongoing concern. They had no reason to know they needed to come to the town because it had been there so long. It wasn't intentional. It just never crossed anyone's mind. And as I understand it, the town never brought it up.
I do appreciate your footnote.
Which
That when
one?
the town of London zoning ordinance was adopted in 1963, businesses could be operated on an owner's lot in AR1.
Yes. And I have the ordinance if you need it. So it is something that just evolved, though. And I don't know many business owners that are looking over their shoulder, looking for someone like Nick to come out and say, hey, you can't do that. So it happened. And they didn't realize it. And it took a while to get all this information together to bring it to the board. I don't know that there ever was a use variance granted at all.
What year was the business purchased?
2002.
That's a long time.
From Helical, absolutely.
That's a long time.
But it was an ongoing concern. Why would they need a change of use? The use didn't change.
I'm having a bit of a difficult time with that personally, that if the ecosystem that is concrete production has changed and the business has changed hands 22, 23 years ago, that we should not be assessing the evolution of that business and the impact on the site and the impact on the neighborhood and other things. I'm having a tough time with that one. And if the ordinance, we're talking about the spirit of an ordinance and we're talking about the spirit of a variance. Is it possible, and this was in testimony that you weren't here for earlier, and a question was posed that was difficult to answer, is it possible that there's been a compliance issue on the site for 23 years?
I don't think so, because I know that the Scott Concrete, and it was in the history, closed long before Helical bought the business. That was far more intense. I have to check the history for the dates, but it was already the business it is today when Helical purchased it. So if you bought a shoe store that's been operating on the corner for 10 years, why would you think you need to change a use? You're going to operate a shoe store.
Well, I would counter that. The testimony was provided tonight that there was an absolute certainty that things had changed, and some of your coworkers here tonight explained to us the evolution of how the process changed, and I think that was a big part of the case here tonight, that the business had changed, the science, the technology had changed behind it. That was part of the testimony here tonight. So,
And it's toned down since then.
but it's changed. So if
But less intense.
well, I think
Do you have to
that's-
go to the town for a permit for that?
I think what's intense and what is not might be anecdotal. I think that's in the eye of the beholder. But Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm still struggling, so,
Him as well.
because I feel like I keep hearing different things, and maybe I'm just having a hard time following. So, the current zoning, if they did nothing, then to build this building, it doesn't accommodate what they're currently doing. Or does it? Like,
It does,
It does, so they're
Right.
right now in conformance
right.
with the last variance. There's nothing, like, if they walked out of here tonight, the things they're doing on their property are currently in conformance with the last variance? Nick, are they doing, like, would they fall under it? Like, because I'm trying to figure out, are we changing something and they need a variance? Or did they say, wow, 20 years ago we changed it, we didn't get a variance, then we should have, or 20, whatever, 3 years ago. And so now we're here for, because that's why I asked the question about if if the variance wasn't granted tonight, they could just keep doing what they're doing if it's in conformance. What's the problem?
May I say something? Can everybody hear me well? I know I'm not in front of my phone. I think it's important.
You could speak at this point.
I think it's important to say, so Fred Pico started Sand and Gravel Company. He got into the precast concrete business. Immediately or shortly into the precast concrete business, sometime in the late 70s or very early 80s, he got into Pico Enterprises. The age of the business is about the same as Scott Concrete. And they began grouting tanks and doing whatever else they did with Pico Enterprises. So the two businesses ran concurrently through all of these variances and processes. As the years went on, Scott Concrete became less of a priority to them. They wanted to wind that down, and they wanted to focus on Pico Enterprises. And then they eventually just closed down Scott Concrete and stopped with the manufacturing of the concrete products, but they were still doing the grouting aspect of it. And then they stopped doing that. They sold that to Helical in 2002. So back to my earlier comments where I think were they out of the thing, this is where I go back to how specific that variance is written. Is if there was a little bit more context in that for what his business actually was, we probably wouldn't need to be here tonight.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps.
So in the history, it says here, in 1987, before Scott wound down, and these were all researched for weeks to make sure they were accurate, Pico's sold off some of its land. In 1997, after Scott ceased operations, he sold another piece of the land. And then he started focusing on the grouting exclusively. So that was several years before Helical purchased the grouting business that had been operating at the site at a less intense pace than Scott Concrete. Does that sound right?
So
Yeah.
I'm
getting so jumbled up in my dates.
We're getting way off
We
topic,
did
but
the-
go ahead.
Yeah, I think
That's why I did this.
So, is anything going to change from today moving forward about what is done at the site?
No.
Okay. Then why are you here?
We were told we should be.
Okay.
I've kind of asked myself that question too, but
Okay.
Well, I think I have the answer. Well, if you read what they're looking for, they are looking for confirmation of what they are doing, which is, I don't know that anyone has any issues in engaging in design and installation. You're designing it. That's pretty low impact for what they're doing, concrete pilings for foundation supports at other locations, and allowing, and here's where we are, the storage of tools, equipment, vehicles, and materials to do this work at the subject property. So that sounds great, but what we've heard from the abutters is in order for them to do that, there is a lot of heavy machinery coming in and out of there, and that sort of
A lot
goes
of noise, a lot
outside
of
the scope.
vibration.
Yes. So I'm sure for their purposes, and I don't want to put words in their mouth, they want clarity before they move forward on anything, that the use that is there and what they're doing is an allowable use.
Right.
Did I
But
get
then-
that summation? Okay.
well, we were told we weren't in compliance, so that's why we're here.
Well,
But what I'm
because the
trying to
prior variances were very specific, and also 47 years ago.
And quite to that point, I'm not sure the variances that were granted in the past were for use. That was another thing because
Right, a lot of them were for buildings.
They
which
were.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say, though? You're in the middle of saying something.
No, no, no. I mean, it's all, if nothing has changed from the past to now, and there's a variance being requested now, and they've been told they've been out of compliance, but nothing's changed, then they've been out of compliance for decades. If something's changing, then that would mean that's what they need the variance for now. But that's not what I'm hearing. So they've been out of compliance for decades, before Helical bought the property, before Helical got involved at all.
Maybe, we don't know, because the records are pretty sparse too.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that as a fact, but I'm saying
Yeah.
that you've been told that.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you have anything else?
No, I think the only question, it's a statement more, is that several places in your petition, application, you mentioned the uniqueness of the site. Can't even speak anymore tonight. That's got nothing to do with this, whether it's a creek or a wetlands or, the site's the site. That's not what we're here to discuss, correct?
Well, it's one of the 5 criteria.
No,
so
no, I
if they're coming
understand
from-
that, but
okay.
I'm saying in this particular case, the uniqueness is that it's a non-compliant use by AR1 zoning in a AR1
Yep.
area. That's the non-compliance. That's the uniqueness, not the shape, to me personally, not the shape of the lot or the wetlands or any of that stuff.
I think one thing associated with the fact that more than half of it is restricted is it's somewhat self-limiting too. Because there's very little area to move around and they're really just using the existing buildings.
Can I know.
Yep.
I was gonna say one other thing, so I'm trying to figure out, like, when I think about the five criteria, am I analyzing it from when they started to, right? Was it a problem in 1988, and therefore they shouldn't have been doing it, or or are we just looking at it from today on?
What difference does it make?
Because, let's say, alters the character of the neighborhood. If they shouldn't have been doing it in 1980, maybe they did alter the character of the neighborhood then, but it's been going on since then, so it's not gonna alter the character of the neighborhood today. So it does make me feel like my analysis is different from looking into the past as opposed to looking into the present.
You want to address that? I don't.
I don't know, yeah, I don't know.
I think that's a fair point. We went into the history quite a lot because we felt as though it was important to at least give the board an overview of what we could learn went on here for many, many years because the records were so sparse, and even to the extent you find a variance, it says you get a building a certain size and maybe there's 5 or 6 other words. It really wasn't clear, and there weren't any minutes to know, was it just the building or was there a use?
Okay. Anything else you want to say before we close public?
Man, just one point. When Pat and I were doing our investigation on the property, at some point in the 80s, there was a site plan submitted for approval with a massive amount of expansion to this property. So there was 2 or 3 additional parking lots out in the back. There was, if you pull up the aerial, it might be easier. There was a building actually where we're proposing one. There was an office foundation proposed. The cranes, excuse me, I can't reach out over you. This was proposed to be all covered, this was all parking, this was all storage, and it was about twice the size of what's being now. Buildings here, office here. So they were contemplating the idea of having quite a bit of expansion for the precast operation, but then I believe the market fell out in the 80s and they changed the direction and went to a lower scale business. So I just thought that was worthy of mention. There was opportunity to really grandiose it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess there was some mention about historic noncompliance by one of the abutters. I mean, and maybe Nick has an answer to this, I didn't really see a whole lot in the file about people complaining it wasn't in compliance. Did you find records of that? I mean, no? Yes? No? Okay. Or complaints about noise? I know there was somebody down the street that and that was why I asked the question about the trucks, that's down closer to 102, doesn't like the trucks on West Road, but that's the only noise complaint, because I actually talked to Mr. Trottier about it too, to see if there were restrictions on trucks in the area. And he said no, but there was somebody down further towards 102 that didn't like the truck noise on the road. So that's, let's see, fluids and oils into the wetlands. I think there might have been some problems with that a long time ago, but Helical has cleaned all of that up. Noise before 7. I mean, the noise factor could be addressed by a condition too, as far as trucks starting before 7 o'clock.
Yeah, actually, I believe the petitioner, before he got here, maybe I'm the only one who heard this, but said that some of the trucks do come really early, like as early as 5 a.m. to load up. I mean,
Oh, okay.
I'm construction business adjacent, so these guys are on site like at 6:30, 6 in the morning. So that's a huge issue. You really missed some, I'm not trying to be negative, but
No, I know.
you really should have not missed the testimony given by comments by several neighbors, because it was very troubling. So, at least from my perspective, other people have said the same thing, so. Concerning, let's use that word. Anyway, I don't have anything else.
Yeah,
Do you think it would be worthwhile to look into it and continue? Excuse me.
Yep.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
there's a little bit of confusion in the application about whether it's section 4.1.2 or 4.2.1 or whatever.
Okay.
Can you just be sure to make sure we cite the right section when you do your voting? Please.
So what I'm hearing is it's the trucks that are dropping things off that are not helical trucks, that are the ones showing up early in the morning. Those are from other companies. I guess that could happen to anybody, but
You mean at a different property?
May I elaborate on
yes,
that a little bit?
please.
So the rule that is in place is that there is no loading of trucks or deliveries of trucks before 7 a.m. other than a permitted load, meaning that we have equipment that has to get permitted through different states, and you have to meet timelines, so they pull in, they park down low, they load a really big excavator on a truck, and they sneak out. That happens once a week, sometimes once a month, sometimes it happens 5 times a week. It's not that frequent. And then for the company trucks that have to leave, they're supposed to be loaded the night before, and they will head out the road whatever time they need to leave to get to where they are. They're not loading, they're not strapping, they're not running and operating a forklift or lull. All that is supposed to happen after 7 o'clock. The other part of that is been uncontrolled is deliveries that are scheduled. So if we order a delivery of pipe that comes in with a tractor trailer, they will come in and get there at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they'll sit there and idle. We do our best to manage those guys, tell them to shut down and get off or go somewhere else or don't come in. We do the best of that. And then we'll have the small crew trucks, which are F-350s and 150s. They might swing through to get something and take off. I think percentage of traffic that is before 7 o'clock in the morning, it's probably 10% of our time over the week.
That's a bit troubling. That's a bit troubling that you would contract with somebody for a delivery into what is largely a residential neighborhood, know that they're coming at 4 o'clock in the morning and that they're going to idle in that neighborhood until you can take delivery of it. You are fully in control of that material coming in, and you can specify when that material is going to arrive. There's trucks on the side of every interstate highway that are in breakdown lanes, and they don't leave until they know they can make that delivery. 495, 93, 95, all of them. So
I
if you're-
understand it.
You're acknowledging that they're sitting in the neighborhood at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's,
No,
that's,
yeah, and
that's
they get
concerning.
yelled at, they get told to leave. It is, that part of it doesn't happen very often, but it is a rare case when it does happen.
Okay.
But my point is we do a very diligent effort to try to manage it the best we can. We are a construction company. We're, understand that our places, they've been leaving from 5 o'clock in the morning, from my understanding, since Scott Concrete was in business. But,
If
as
I
I
can
said,
circle back, so that we are not continuing any problems with what the variance actually allows, what use are you looking for under the AR1?
The business use as described.
Well,
The
that
specifics
does not
of,
fall into any of our categories, so
No.
it's a continuing issue then that,
it happens a
Spiral
lot.
table, right?
It's
That's what you're asking.
design,
Yes.
fabrication, off-site installations.
Where's that?
so that is not a,
That's not allowed.
that's not a use here in Londonderry.
It's not allowed use in AR1.
No, but I mean.
I
that's what
believe the
variance is for.
tax map, the tax whatnot actually has it is industrial warehousing.
It would be
Industrial.
warehousing, storage, and office, essentially is gonna be
Essentially is what it
your
is.
primary uses on
Correct.
that.
So office and
Warehouses
housing
and
is
storage.
prohibited.
200. Where, does it say
It's on
industrial
tax card.
warehouse
It's on
or
the tax card.
warehouses and storage?
Tax card. I believe the tax card says.
Mine is, I mean, it's kind
This is, it's current, but.
Was that tax card or not?
So when the application came in, nothing was specific.
The application originally cited 4.2.1 and 4.212.
Right, so that's the table of uses, so what are we,
And then that was crossed out and listed as 4.1.2.
Which is the use table.
right.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So I'm trying to get some clarity on which use we are talking about.
So,
Where stretches under 400 feet. This is 8,200 square feet.
this office,
I don't see how this is
this and
allowed
warehouse
use.
is 250,000 square.
Trucking.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know what it would be.
So this is the use table, right? So, right, and then it's office.
Are you on the table right now?
Yeah, I'm looking at the table.
When he says storage under 400 square feet.
sure is.
I mean, there's warehouses here, but they're.
Are they allowed use in AR1?
No.
No, right. No, it's not allowed. Manufacturing warehousing, not in the AR1, it's prohibited use.
That's that's what the variance is asking for, use that's not
Right.
allowed in AR1.
That's what I understand that, yeah.
What kind of square footage are we looking at on the warehousing? So our numbers here are 25, about 250,000.
Up to 250.
We'd be under that.
It'd be under that
Your
one.
new building's 8,200 square feet, I believe.
Yeah, and the existing buildings are 10,000 and, like 600.
Yeah, we're way under that 250 threshold.
Right, so that we're looking at warehousing and storage of up to 250,000 square feet.
And there would be some office-related stuff in there as
Right.
well, professional office.
Within that square footage.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
a-
Small.
I would say a small portion of some of those buildings, right? I mean, administrative stuff, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Show office, is that the other one?
Professional office, right. Okay, anything else before we close it up?
I don't think so. You want that?
I think the only other use on there would be the outdoor storage of goods and materials, because they do store some of the pipe casing, materials they use to do their work outside. So those would be the three requested uses, all of which are, yeah,
Nick, did you have?
not permitted.
Outdoor storage is permitted if it's, they need a site plan.
Mhm.
And if the planning board
We know.
okays outdoor storage, they wouldn't need a variance for it.
I don't see outdoor storage being allowed in AR1. All right, everybody following along? So we've got warehousing and storage up to 250,000 square feet, professional office and outdoor storage. Okay. With that, I'm going to close public comment section, and we will bring it back to the board.
Are you saying that, I'm looking it up right now, but you already looked it up. Are you saying that that isn't allowed use in AR1?
Is not.
It's not, that's
But
what I
it-
keep
but
saying,
it-
yeah.
But it's a use that we have so that we're identifying
Correct.
what the variance
I
is. So we're
understand.
not using this permitted, what it is, specific concrete pilings and foundations.
I just want to make sure I understood what you were saying, that's all.
So we understand we're going to allow that is going to be warehouse and storage, professional office and outdoor storage. You know, they did offer up several conditions, limiting the number of employees, limiting the work hours. Whatever we want to, if we want to be more specific on what we're going to allow or not allow. But that all being said, I have no idea where everyone is, so I don't know if we want to just start with the 5 criteria, whether we want to have a conversation. Here's where I'm gonna, both sides. So this has been here for a long time. I heard their concerns of the abutters, but that business was there when they moved in, because that business was there when they moved in. Has it changed? Perhaps. I don't know. Are there things that they could do to mitigate those? Sure, and they should. Whatever happens tonight, they should do that. That didn't seem to be a big push, because although they were talking about the historic end of it, but they've been doing this for a long time.
And I sort of came down, I've been sitting here grappling with my question, and I think I can't, since I don't know where in the past this all started, I have to look at it from today. Like, is granting this changing the neighborhood today? I don't,
Well, I don't think you can do that, because the facts are, this neighborhood has had that
Right,
business there since.
right, well, that you can analyze it that way.
1967.
Does this variance change, like, health, safety, and welfare today?
Right.
And so that's, because it's just impossible for me to figure out what's changed, because it sounds like it's probably very slow and very subtle over many years that I can't analyze.
Yes, and you're dealing with very old zoning ordinances, so when we were discussing that people don't go forward for a change of use, people do go forward for a change of use. If you're buying a property, you should check.
And the neighborhood was probably very different then, too? I mean, for all I know, I don't know.
Well, right, those houses weren't there. So, that being said, it is a somewhat industrial use in the middle of a residential neighborhood,
Absolutely.
but it's been there forever. So, it's a lot of weighing,
Great,
it's a lot of weight.
great analysis.
yes. So,
Just about as close a question I've seen, because it's a very interesting issue, the fact that a lot of these things are changing the character of the neighborhood. It was there first.
Yep.
And safety, health, it's been there the whole time.
Yep.
And so it's like, if they were trying to put it in now, obviously that's a different story. But I think the fact that it's been there so long is very, very important.
So I'm ready.
so we've got, okay, we're gonna go to
Oh, I mean,
the,
if other people want to talk.
No,
So granting the variance would or would not be contrary to the public interest because?
I would say would not. I mean, I don't think it alters the character of the neighborhood.
I agree with you. It's there and it's
I would
been
have to
there.
agree based on precedent. I would have to agree just because on precedent, it's been there.
I agree.
It's a tough thing to.
I'm going to disagree
Okay?
on the specificity of that new building going in, increase of staff, increase of trucks, and other things that I heard here tonight. I do think that it is contrary to the public interest. I don't think that the business as it has been operated is contrary to public interest, but I think that these changes and the way that they were presented tonight, I'm not satisfied that it's not, so I'd be a no.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I just note that that new building is not under discussion in this hearing, just the use variance, and that if they were to propose a new building, they'd likely have to go to planning board for site plan review and all that. So that is really not on the table.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Spirit of the ordinance would or would not be observed because I'm a would for the same reasons.
Same, I'm with
Yeah, I
you.
would agree.
I would agree, just on precedent. I originally did not agree, but I would agree.
I will be a no.
Granting the variance would or would not do substantial justice because
I would say it would.
I think it would.
I think their loss would be greater than the loss to the
Yeah, I
town.
agree.
I agree.
I agree.
May I ask a process question?
You cannot. I don't know who asked that, sorry.
We were in-
Yep.
So did we get an answer from every voting member?
Yes.
Number three, yes.
I'm a no on
4 to
3
1.
also.
Okay.
I think, did you say that?
I did.
Okay, yeah.
He did, you probably just didn't
Yeah.
hear him.
Sorry if you didn't hear me.
No, I heard you. For the following reasons, the values of surrounding properties would or would not be diminished.
I don't think there's a change because it's
It's
I
already
agree.
it's
there.
already there.
So they would not be diminished, I agree.
I would agree with that. It's just because of that reason only.
Owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because there is or is not a fair and substantial relationship between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property because
So the purpose of the ordinance is to separate businesses from residential.
Right.
I don't know that the size or any of the conditions of the property, other than it's very large, which I suppose is a positive for the applicant, because of just of the nature of what we're looking at, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the property is unique, it's large, it's got a brook running through it, but how is that connected to running?
That's what I was, point I made earlier. It's
Yeah.
got nothing to do with it.
Right.
But again, it's one of the criteria that they have to meet. in
No, I
order to-
understand. I understand. I'm
Right.
just saying, in this case, very unusual case, it's,
Always the hard one.
Well, if we move to B, If the criteria A is not established, an unnecessary hardship will be deemed to exist if and only if, owing to the special conditions, it cannot be reasonably used in conformance with. Okay, so we don't want to go there. And that is the use a reasonable one. I don't know how you can not go back to how long the use of the property
It's been this way.
has been this
All
way.
the development on it, and everything's, yeah. It's certainly unique and different in that it has all of that stuff.
Yes, I think that if you're reading the exact, it has, but it goes to the specific application of the provisions to the property. And then goes on to, is the proposed use a reasonable one?
Yeah, I mean, that second one's gonna have to rely on the fact that the business has been there so long.
I was gonna say, because
reasonable.
normally it would not be reasonable.
Oh, but,
It would not be reasonable, but because I've been there so long,
right,
But if somebody would,
it's impacted everything we've basically said so far.
yeah,
if somebody were to buy a whole bunch of houses up, knock them down, and wanna build this in that same neighborhood, we'd probably.
It would be a hard no.
Different.
right, that wouldn't be
Be a hard
reasonable.
no.
But because it's there and it's been there longer.
Well, I'm gonna say is not.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm gonna agree with you as well.
I would agree with that.
I'll get no.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, the reading be in conjunction with A.
Yes. Is the proposed use a reasonable one?
When you read, yeah, I think reading in conjunction with A, yes. Continuing to conduct a business on a property that's been conducting a business for 60 years is reasonable.
I think Brendan's still on.
Excuse me? Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Proposed use is or is not a reasonable one because, I agree it is, the business has been there for,
At
50
least, almost 60 years, yeah.
I assume.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Continue to do it as reasonable.
For consistency purposes.
Comments, restrictions.
Well, I think that we need to really think
Yep.
about that quickly, because we've had testimony from multiple homeowners that are abutters, and they were troublesome.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, again, I'm construction adjacent, I get all the operations, I'm familiar with helical piles, I get all that, the pipe, I get all that. But if I was living in that neighborhood, it would trouble me greatly to have stuff banging around at 7 in the morning and the vibrations. It's heavy equipment moving, let's face it. So I don't know, there has to be something to deal with that without shackling handcuffing the operator.
We have acknowledged that the work hours are 7 to 5, Monday through Friday. I think we need that restriction on there.
Absolutely, but that would include deliveries. And that's something that we have to really, we may have to reopen up, because, I mean, he's telling us people coming at 4:35 in the morning delivering stuff.
He has no control over some of that.
No, I understand that, but if,
To just say that the owner will make every attempt to make sure that nothing occurs before that time, a reasonable attempt, that nothing will happen. I mean, you can't say, you can't
No,
do it.
I'm gonna
because
make
you
it that
can't.
it's 7 to 5, that
I would say 7 to
there'll
5.
be no deliveries, there'll be no.
No deliveries,
work.
activity, anything, 7 to 5.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Not a good effort, it is what it is.
What do we do about the vibration and can we do it? I don't know how you address that.
So, you can say that nobody can have their dog bark except between
Well,
7
this is
and
not
5.
like that.
But if a dog barks because the owner doesn't have.
This is
I
not a
mean,
dog issue, though.
Well, I
Okay.
know, I'm just trying to
So-
give you an analogy.
Yeah, but
You
it's
have to say
not a
what-
valid analogy.
That they have to be reasonable, make every attempt to be reasonable, that it doesn't occur before then.
But it's a
I think
toothless
if it becomes
enforcement.
problematic, that
Yeah.
there should be ability to come back here and it has to be addressed again.
I agree.
I agree
How
with
else
that.
do we hear the abutters and what their issues were?
Right, I agree.
I think as far as the noise and vibration, it's part of what they do for a living, but I think there has to be some serious thought given to mitigating that at certain times or something. Obviously, if you lived in a neighborhood and your house was shaking, it wouldn't be a good thing. I understand the houses came after, we get that, but,
I was gonna say that.
you know,
Do we want to do number of employees as well? And maybe I
Yes.
should read this comment first. So I have, there will be no deliveries or other activity at the site before 7 AM or after 5 PM,
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
Yeah, the number of employees, so I know they have 10, I know they did the,
14.
they did the,
Could be as many as.
it's at
yeah,
13. I
like
believe.
13 was the number that they said was agreed.
Well, if they have 10 now and we say no greater than 13 employees, that gives them a little.
Yep,
Yep.
Okay,
I would agree with
and
that.
that's what they had done the traffic
right.
trips on, so.
And I think the only other thing would be, comments, at least one abutter made a comment about seeing the property, whatever. I'm not sure, my prior zoning board life's not in this town, we could put a caveat or something in about screening, maintaining screening, vegetation screening, et cetera. So I would propose that, currently you can't see the property, at least in the Google Street image, you couldn't see it, but it was.
It's tough in the winter, I think.
The winter's the winter,
Is there
yeah.
anything about the height of the building too?
We're not
Well,
talking about
that's
the
gonna
building.
be, that's not a building
That's not our
issue,
thing. That's not our thing.
unfortunately, yeah.
What
So,
we do need to address, though, is what uses are going to be allowed, since that was not specifically requested in the application, and why we went to the table of uses and discussed the 3 that we had.
So as I have it, and let me make sure. So I guess I should think how to phrase this. The only uses from table 1.42,
4.1.
4.12, thank you.
Let's not do that again.
That are allowed at the property are,
Warehouses and storage up to 250,000 square feet.
okay, so warehouses and storage up to 250,000 square feet.
Right. Professional office.
yeah, there will be some kind of office, minor office function, I
Right.
believe.
We have professional office.
Professional office, yeah.
And then was it outdoor storage of goods and materials and then professional office?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there's the outdoor storage of goods and materials not to exceed 5 to 10%.
Yes, that's the one we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Any more comments, restrictions? None from me?
I'm good.
No, I'm good.
Okay. In case number 10-15-2025-1, I'd like to make a motion to grant the request for a variance with the following conditions. There'll be no deliveries or other activity at the site before 7 AM or after 5 PM, Monday through Friday. There will be no deliveries or other activity at the site on weekends, on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
The business will have no greater than 13 employees. The only uses from table 4.1 2 that are allowed at the property are warehouses and storage up to 250,000 square feet, professional office, and outdoor storage of goods or materials not to exceed 5 to 10% of the gross floor area as an accessory use.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Opposed?
Spelling on Robert's last name.
In case number 10-15-2025-1, the request for variance was granted with the conditions stated.
What are we doing with petitions?
Do you want to say, as on the findings of fact?
Yes. All right.
you.
Thank you.
Back to the agenda. I don't know if there was anything else on there.
Communications and miscellaneous.
Anything else we need to cover this evening?
Did you want to go back to those minutes, or?
I have to take a
put
look
it
at it
to
unless
next
anyone else is
month?
prepared to
Yeah.
vote.
Let's look at it. Looks
I apologize, I might have missed what was discussed about.
Oh, yes, so,
Anomaly in the minutes, apparently,
right, on the September one, she sent an email about it, so we'll have to look at
Oh,
her
I
email.
saw what it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I saw the email.
Thank you. Okay,
The business.
if we have nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.